Good morning, and thank you for coming to today's State of the School address. We've had quite a year, and I'm looking forward to filling you in on it. I've had quite a year, too. This has been the first major health challenge that I have faced, and I have to tell you that it has elements of difficulty and elements of insight and elements of triumph. So I want to talk just a little bit about that. What I want to say is thank you. I've had colleagues who have worked hard to fill in for me, travel for me. They've taken meetings for me. They've done everything they possibly could to help me out. And it's just been remarkable, the outpouring of physical and emotional support that I've had. And I want to acknowledge some of those people today. Barbara Snyder volunteered to do a lot of donor visits and a lot of activity, and I'm grateful for that. Chris Masadi and Mark Chance and Dan Anker did all kinds of meetings and all kinds of deanly kinds of things. And I'm very grateful to them for what they've done. And I'm grateful to those of you who realized that they were taking meetings for me and respected that. Bob Haney, Clint Snyder, and Lena Maida held up the end of the education establishment, and I'm very grateful to them for their efforts. Carol Moss did traveling and development, and I think you've seen some of the fruits of that labor, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. Stan Gerson and George Cicano stood in for the dean in a number of times, and I really value that. The CTSA kept going and rolling along because of Ginny Petrie, its executive director, and Rick Rudick, my co-PI. And I could not have managed the operations that I did without the help of my chief of staff, Lisa Mancini, my partner, Jim Herget, and Sherry Gittinger and Susan Reichert, who kept the office running in time. So thank you to all of them. And thank you to all of the others of you who helped me out that are too numerous to name. I also want to thank my colleagues and friends who came up to me after the diagnosis and after I was getting into the treatment for this disease, and shared their stories of challenges and strategies that you use to cope. I value all of them, from Tai Chi to carrot juice to advice on wigging out, both figurative and literal. But I mostly appreciate the insight and the stories of courage and the inspiration that you've provided for me. Thank you. Thank you for talking to me. Thank you for telling me about what you've done. I really appreciate it. And finally, when you're on the other side of the scalpel or the IV needle, you start to really appreciate the tireless efforts in the laboratory to make things better for patients. You know, I was at the Cancer Center's External Advisory Board meeting and got to talking with one of the members of our cancer center who said to me, you know, I've had 2 members of my family diagnosed with cancer in a very short period of time, and one of them has a wonderful prognosis and the other one has a really bad tumor. But you know what? He's responding to one of the new drugs that was developed just in the last few years, and we have hope. And I said to him, you know, the decades you've spent in cancer research have not been wasted. And he sort of stepped back a second and said, yeah, because this is all a big team effort. And it's an effort that extends right from the basic science laboratory through the initial clinical translation to the bigger clinical trials to the confirmation that things are actually working. So research is no longer abstract when the life impacted is your own. So thank you for all the things that you've done. So today I'm going to tell you a number of things about the state of the school, and I can tell you that in general the state of the school is strong thanks to you. I want to tell you just a little bit, skimming through at a very high level and not able to cite everybody who deserves citation for about some of the faculty breakthroughs this year. They have been truly remarkable. Jerry Silver has a mechanism for bridging spinal cord injuries. Remarkable. Restoration of function in an animal model. Pray for the patients. Mike Constant was one of the leaders in developing small molecules that actually interact with a defective protein in cystic fibrosis and represent the first step toward a cure. Stan Hazen's report on gut flora metabolism of lipids, effect on cardiovascular disease, was cited as one of the 10 best clinical research papers in the country last year. Randy Siebel's paper on the electronic health record in primary care won the IMIA Award for the best article in 2012 in medical informatics. Mukesh Jain, for the first time, drew a link between circadian rhythms and sudden cardiac death. Jonathan Stamler cited basic truths about communication among unicellular organisms, the bacteria, a remarkable study. Our students have been active in these studies as well. Phoebe Stewart's remarkable paper on how the innate immune system recognizes the adenovirus was done with graduate student Justin Flatt. And Paige Kramer was instrumental in Gary Landreth's work that provides hope for Alzheimer's disease. These are only a few of the remarkable discoveries that have come out of our faculty this year, and I congratulate you all on the work that you've done. We are also a faculty that's well known for our excellence in education. And although we have a wonderful curriculum, a wonderful structure, a wonderful pedagogy, the heart and soul of the curriculum is in the faculty. A few years ago, we initiated a program that we called then Master Teachers. And these are the initial and subsequent classes of Master Teachers who've been cited previously. They are all long-term dedicated teachers who have fabulous ratings by the students, and they have done a great deal to enhance our curriculum. This year, we decided that we were going to rename this group in order to engage the previous master teachers and create an Academy of Scholar Educators. We asked the faculty to self-nominate or to nominate other people for this honor. We had an extraordinary field of nominees, and I wish every one of them could be recognized in this way. But our class of 2012 consists of Mimi Lam, Muriel Boutry, Alan Levine, and Jerry Strauss. Congratulations to all of you on this honor. Are you all here? Could you stand if you're here? Yes. It's been a very good year for honors for members, for faculty at the School of Medicine. It's just been a great year, and I'm sorry I can't cite everyone who has received an external prize this year, but I did want to tell you about a few. We had 2 new inductees into the Institute of Medicine, John Shea and Karis Eng. Congratulations to them. This is a remarkable honor. We have heroes in our midst. 2 Cranes Cleveland Business Healthcare heroes, Elaine Borowski and George Cacano, and 2 American Red Cross heroes, Bob Haney and Jeff Oletta. Congratulations to them. You make us proud in the city of Cleveland. This is only a smattering of the additional awards that I wanted to cite today. Amy Wilson-Delfos was elected president of the International Association of Medical Educators. And I wish I could tell you about the other award that she's won, but it's embargoed right now, so I'm trying not to say anything about it. But it is a national level award for education. Pat Catalano won a terrific award from the March of Dimes. I know how hard those are to get. Derek Abbott won the Dolph Adams Award. from the Society for Leukocyte Biology, quite an extraordinary achievement for such a young fellow. And our latest Distinguished University Professor is Jim Anderson. Congratulations to all of our awardees. Isn't that great? And we have our first Polish knight, Chris Palczewski. We have a great deal to celebrate, and I think that every one of these honorees would tell you that their accomplishments really did come through collaboration. And I think that that is absolutely essential for our future as well. Collaboration occurs at many levels. It occurs at the institutional level. And these are just a few examples of how we collaborate with our colleagues and our sister institutions and our affiliated hospitals across the city. With UH, we have committed over $180 million to recruitments in the CRI, in the Case Research Institute departments, the clinical and bridge departments, over the last 6 years. We are really rocking and rolling in bringing new people into those departments, and it's paying off. This year, the Cleveland Clinic Lerner College of Medicine, which is a partnership with Case Western Reserve University School of Medicine and a part of our medical school, celebrated 10 years. We have 5 shared endowed chairs with Metro Health System, and we're working on others through our development offices. And the VA Medical Center has been a great partner. We have a number of important research collaborations there, including our functional electrical stimulation group that spreads over the VA, our Department of Biomedical Engineering, and Metro Health. Faculty engagement and collaboration is critical in our forward movement. We have shared governance with our faculty council, and this group has focused this year on reviews of the climate, the education program, and metrics for raises. This is a very, very strong program, and I want to thank Jill Barnholt-Sloan, the last year's chair of the Faculty Council, and Adnan Kobanoglu, this year's chair of the Faculty Council, for their extraordinary efforts in this regard. This year, we're looking forward to the implementation of metrics for compensation, and the Faculty Council has constituted a new committee on budget, finance, and compensation. Mentoring emerged. We've been listening to the concerns of the faculty and the issues that have arisen, and mentoring has risen to the top of one of the concerns of the faculty. There are 3 new things that I wanted to highlight for you. The women faculty of the School of Medicine have developed a program called FLEX. This was led by Sumitra Khatri from the Cleveland Clinic Lerner College of Medicine, who remains strongly engaged with this program. And Usha Steifel, the new president of the women faculty of the School of Medicine, is carrying the banner this year for the women faculty. This is an extraordinary program. They have enrolled their first class, and I'm eager to see the results of this program. In the Department of Pediatrics, Claudia Hoyen and others have spearheaded a new pilot peer mentoring program. And this could be a very interesting strategy for faculty members, particularly in clinical departments. And we're eager to see how that works out. The faculty really wanted to focus on including mentoring in chairs evaluations, and we have now done that explicitly, both in the job description of chairs and also in the metrics that we will use to evaluate them. So a lot of things have happened from listening to the faculty about what they wanted. For a long time, we've wanted to have a vice dean for faculty development and diversity. This past year, a faculty search committee led by Lena Mehta and representing a broad swath of our faculty, conducted a national search. There were very competitive candidates from all over the country. But one of our own rose to the top, and that is Sana Liu, who accepted the position and began last month. Sana is here with us today. And I personally am delighted to have someone in this position, and I'm looking forward. Sana's first focus is going to be on making sure that mentoring occurs, as the faculty has indicated. We heard from you that we have not communicated as well as we should about the many programs that have been installed in the School of Medicine, both previously and over the last few years. So we have made a huge effort to reconfigure the website so that things are easily accessible and concentrated in one place. This is a screenshot from the School of Medicine's website just under the Research tab, and you can see that you can find bridge funding, funding from the Cancer Center, the CTSC pilots, core facilities, and the Office of Strategic Initiatives all in one place. I encourage you to go to our website and explore these links. I think you'll learn a lot, and I'm hoping that this will bring the opportunities that we have in this school for faculty support better to, more accessible to you. In addition, the faculty, we had an extraordinary opportunity with the departure of Dan Orendt as Vice Dean for Education. We had an extraordinary opportunity to look at the faculty engagement in the education process. So I asked Keith Armitage, who was the chair of the Committee on Medical Education, to name a subcommittee of the Committee on Medical Education to examine the contribution of the faculty to medical education. How can we best streamline and operate a committee structure that provides for input from the faculty into the medical education program? What about the administrative structure of the education program? And what should the Vice Dean of Education be charged to do? And they have come through with their report. We are incorporating their suggestions into the job description for the new Vice Dean for Education, and it's coming out. Stay tuned. And I'm grateful to Keith, Abdullah, David, Sumita, and Nick for all of these contributions. Thank you very much. Although Case Western Reserve has much of its reputation riding on its medical education program, and has for the last 100 years since the Flexner Report, we are also a research powerhouse. And I'd like to talk a little bit about where we are and where we hope to be. We are, in fact, a powerhouse. When we assembled the data to submit the CTSC renewal, we were able to get information from all of our clinical affiliates on all their sources of funding, industry, state, foundation, federal, came to $569 million in the year before we submitted that grant. That is a powerhouse of research activity. We ranked 17th together with the CCLCM for total NIH awards. And in the fiscal year 2011, defined as the NIH fiscal year, that is October to September, our research funding, our research awards went up 4% compared to 2010. That's a pretty good increase in a flat funding climate. So I'm very proud of what we've been able to do. How do we succeed in an increasingly challenging financial environment for grants? I think that one of the keys is we have to invest in our own faculty. So I want to tell you a little bit about two investment programs. One of them is our bridge funding program, which was started in May of 2008, and the data here are collected through September of 2012. We have funded about 80% of the applications that we received to this bridge funding program for a total investment of almost $4 million. The impact of that investment has been a $35 million return on external grants after investment in a bridge funding program. And that may not be all, because there's about $30 million of grants still pending, which is follow-on to the bridge funding program. And lots of papers have come out of this. And as we all know now at the NIH, it's really required to have a paper as part of your preliminary data, because you simply can't fit it into the 12-page limit. You got to publish, and then you can put your grant application together. So we did track publications out of this program as well. So we're really pleased with the impact of the bridge funding program. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the impact of the pilot funding program out of the CTSC. We've invested since the inception of the CTSC, which probably really started about 2008, about $3.5 million. And new external funding totaling $31 million has come in from that. There are a few things to point out here, and one of them is that about half, or a little more than half of that funding, is in basic science projects that are on the verge of moving to clinical, but are not really ready to go into patients. So this is funding that goes both to basic sciences and to patient-based research. A few years ago, we did an analysis of what characteristics of a research portfolio lead to sustainability in funding in bad times. Now, a few years ago, we hadn't had bad times that were quite as bad as this, but we had had dips in the NIH funding, and we looked at what predicted that an institution could stay above the fray and sustain its activity. And the answer came back that it was highly correlated with the proportion of collaborative grants, P-series and U-series grants, in the portfolio. So we've made a concerted effort to support applications in that vein. And of course, it's been difficult because many of the NIH institutes are shying away from bigger grants. But we are up 14% year over year in collaborative grants. This is only one example of the new grants that we got. Fabio Cominelli's PO1 from NIDDK on Crohn's disease. There are several others that we're very proud of as well. Still, we cannot have all our eggs in the NIH basket. It's just not smart. So in 2009, we opened the Office of Strategic Initiatives. This office was designed to help us get non-NIH federal funding, state funding, and foundation funding. They've taken off now, and I want to tell you a little bit about their success. Federal non-NIH funding is up 25% year over year, that NIH fiscal year 2011 versus NIH fiscal year 2010. One example is Ruth Carey's grant from the Department of Defense to study breast cancer. We have a number of others that are really going strong, and we have several others in the pipeline that I hope to be able to tell you about next year. Foundation funding is up 50%. And we're very grateful for that. Jill Barnholt Sloan is just one example of hard work and perspicacity with the Skirball Foundation. So congratulations to Jill, and congratulations to everyone else who helped us pull in this remarkable increase in foundation grant funding. Finally, state and county funding. To me, state grants, the first state grant I ever did, I could not understand the budget or the instructions for Loevner money, and English is my mother tongue. So we developed an office to help people get through the mechanics of applying for state grants. We are up 130% in state funding. A good deal of that is from $9.4 million that we pulled in from the MedTap program this year. But I particularly wanted to cite Stan Gerson's Ohio Third Frontier Grant. This is an unprecedented fourth grant in stem cells from the Third Frontier. No other program from the Third Frontier has even received a third grant in this area. So this is really an achievement, and I'm very proud of him. It's now called the Ohio Alive Innovator Platform, but trust me, it's stem cells. So those three areas, non-NIH, federal, foundations, and state, were really important. But we also wanted to provide a better access for our faculty to industry funding and industry support. So in December of 2011, we launched a new program that involved hiring 2 half-time chief translational officers, Blair Geho and Bill Hart. These are industry veterans who understand the commercialization process, and they understand it at the level of big pharma because they've been there. They understand it at the level of startups because Blair is on his 6th startup and done very well with them. And they understand it at the level of mid-level startups. Bill is retired from Amgen. And this has been a remarkable opportunity, I think, for our faculty. What these folks do is they go around and talk to faculty, and I try to identify programs that might be able to be translated for the benefit of patients that maybe the investigator hasn't quite identified as potentially commercializable or potentially developable for patient benefit. In addition, they take the programs that have already reported to the Technology Transfer Office. The Tech Transfer Office has invention disclosures. They go and look at those and help the faculty figure out whether commercialization is feasible, and if so, by what pathway. You can't just stop with identifying and talking, though. We need to be able to make some investments to help our faculty go forward. So in order to decide on the investments that the school can make in faculty discoveries that could come forward to commercialization, but more important, to come forward to benefit patients, we have developed a Council to Advance Human Health. And Bill and Blair pick out technologies that they think are on the verge of being able to be developed with a little bit more funding and a little bit more investment. They take them to this council, which is a remarkable group of 20 people, industry experts, venture capitalists, hedge fund guys, devices, software, drugs, and they recommend milestone-driven investment in the program. We had our first meeting of this council in June, and they recommended investment in 4 programs. Medical school has put aside about $185,000 for this investment, milestone-driven, and Bill and Blair are keeping track of it. We're going to have another meeting in January in San Francisco, associated with JP Morgan Bio, which collects a lot of the investors from around the country. We're very excited about the potential for this program, but we'll have to wait and see. I wanted to give you an idea of the level of people who are participating in this program. These are illustrations of only 4 of the individuals who are represented from Lilly and Merck and Novartis, and one of my personal favorites, Vertex, which is actually the company that produces the CF drug. Yes. Probably the fastest growing segment of our research portfolio right now, though, is the community engagement segment of the portfolio. We were fortunate in October of 2011 to be able to announce a $25 million commitment from the Weatherhead family to create the Weatherhead Institute for Family Medicine and Community Health, which we hope will hold a sturdy umbrella over the strong programs that already exist. The Weatherhead Institute will coordinate and convene, and it is headed by George Cacano, who was named Vice Dean for Community Health. This has tremendous potential, and we have a tremendous obligation because of where we live. The city of Cleveland vies with the city of Detroit every year for the title of poorest city in the country. Our health statistics match. We have a certain obligation at a medical school like this to apply some of our intellectual firepower to that problem. And I think this institute provides a platform to engage foundation, local, state, and federal grants, but also to collaborate with the health departments in the city, the voluntary health agencies, and community groups in order to bring the most important problems to the top and to devise collaborative ways to address them. Of course, There was a lot of activity before the Weatherhead Institute began, and I just wanted to cite one of them, which has been going gangbusters, and that is the Prevention Research Center for Healthy Neighborhoods at Case Western Reserve University, headed by Elaine Borowski, who has done remarkable work on access to fresh foods and exercise in the inner city. This is only one of the examples of the strong programs that we're developing in community engagement. Now, of course, one of the things that we're really famous for at Case Western Reserve is educating doctors. And I'm pleased to tell you that that tradition continues. Our students are great when they arrive. They are absolutely fabulous. Western Reserve, too, is attracting a national spectrum of tremendous students. Not only are their scores and their grades great, but each one of them brings an extraordinary and unique mix of skills to the table. In the small groups, this diversity of backgrounds is really very important, and it's fun for the teachers and the educators. We make them better. Our students score spectacularly well on USMLE Step 1. Our average score is as far above the 75th percentile as the 75th is above the 50th. This is a remarkable group of students. And we graduate them to the best places in the country. 20% of our students last year went to programs associated with the top 10 medical schools. They really did us proud, and they're going to be carrying our banner for years to come. Now, we get great students in, we get great scores, we get great matches, but the final proof of Western Reserve, too, is really how these students do 5 and 10 years out when they're not under our watchful guidance. We are now working with in the medical education group to figure out how we can assess this program several years out and determine whether Western Reserve 2 really does produce lifelong learning, self-educating doctors, and the ability to adapt to a changing fact base in medicine year by year. Stay tuned. We've done this all despite our existing medical education space. Enough said. We have a vision for new medical education space. Now, this is only a vision. It may not look like that or be quite like that, but it sure is nice to dream, isn't it? And the dreams took on a lot more reality last week when we were awarded $21.5 million in gifts to support the medical education building. $10 million from Mount Sinai, $10 million from the Cleveland Foundation, and $1.5 million from an alum, Michael Eppig, and his wife, Ruth Swetland Eppig, who came together to donate $1.5 million in support of the medical education building. To have the endorsement of 2 foundation boards like Mount Sinai and the Cleveland Foundation that are representative of our city, and to have such strong support from the Plain Dealer and from Crane's Cleveland Business, if you saw the editorials in each of those in support of our program, it's really a tremendous boost to putting things together and developing a new education space for our medical students and for us. Going to be great. Not all those dollars are in this graph, I got to tell you right now. But we have been doing pretty well in garnering dollars around the city and around the country. Our alums are stepping up. This year, our alumni reunion gift was the largest ever, $3.6 million. So the alums are really stepping up. They are engaging with us. The city is responding. And we are rocking and rolling on getting new money in. We are well above the straight line progression. Our goal is $350 million. I've told Carol Moss that we're going to blow past this, right? Because we need more. our ambition, we really need more than this to satisfy the programs that we'd like to put in place. So here's our annual graph of our finances. Thanks to your hard work to increase funding and to manage our expenses, we have gone from a fairly spiffy deficit in 2007 to a very small surplus this year. Thank you. You have done a remarkable job. Now, it wasn't easy, and it's going to be challenging in the next few years, too. There are some risks ahead. We are heavily dependent upon the federal dollar, right? We are heavily NIH dependent. 70 to 75% of our budget every year comes from grant funding, and of that, still over 80% is from NIH. We're gaining on it. The strategic initiatives are working. We're working on industry, but it's still heavily the feds. We got to count on Congress. Doesn't give you a warm, secure feeling in the cockles of your heart. Wall Street also affects us. It affects the size of our endowment and the ability of the endowment to pay out. These two things together also affect the entire healthcare industry and how much a hospital is going to be able to, how much of a margin a hospital is going to be able to create, and what the expectations can seriously be in this section. So we definitely have a lot of things that are very, very uncertain, and it's really hard to write budgets over the next 3 years without knowing what's going on in these areas. We have an opportunity in the next few years to renegotiate the financial terms for sure, and possibly the affiliation terms of the affiliation agreement with university hospitals. If each of the partners comes to the table with the same expectation, it's possible that we could enhance and strengthen this partnership during this time, and I look forward to the opportunity to do that. And finally, I have something very good to tell you about our finances. You probably remember from previous talks that we have a big threat looming in our finances in 2015. Because of some interesting structuring of the debt service on our buildings, the School of Medicine that neither Barbara Snyder nor I had anything to do with, I might say, we wound up with looking down a path that showed us with a $4.5 million increase in debt service in 2015, rising to over $8 million, above what we already pay, which is about $12.5 million a year. That, given the financial uncertainty, given the potential for a flat NIH budget, given the Wall Street risks, was more than we really could possibly expect to come up with. This week, Barbara Snyder, John Sedaris, and I agreed that the Central University would provide assistance and level our debt over the next 5 years. They are going to assume the increase for the next few years of our debt. The agreement extends for about $13.5 million to the benefit of the medical school. And I am very grateful for that. Yes. Thank you. So this is a real vote of confidence, I think, from the Central University and us, and it's also a signal to us that we need to continue the drive toward excellence, the drive toward the excellent research programs, the investment in the research programs that we have already made and are planning to make over the next few years, the bioinformatics that we need to invest in, the renewal of the Cancer Center, the Department of Neurosciences, the Department of Genetics and Genomics, the forward-looking investments that we want to make I think are going to be enabled because the Central University has come to our assistance, and I'm very, very grateful for that opportunity. We need not to let them down. So I come to a section that is my little surprise today. I think we're not going to let them down because we're the kind of people who don't let them down. We're smart, we're resourceful, we're innovative, and we stand on the shoulders of those who went before us. And today, I'd like to acknowledge some of those who went before us in this regard. Now, you all play a role in the successes of the school of this last year, but we do stand upon the achievements of those who labored here to make the school a vibrant community of scholars. I wanted to recognize today 2 faculty members who were instrumental in shaping the school as we know it. They recommended establishment of the Center and then the Department of Neuroscience, the Center, then the Department of Human Genetics, the Cleveland Center for Structural Biology, and they marshaled support for these ventures. They set a collaborative tone in the school. We benefit from this today. These 2 individuals stand out for their academic prowess, their vision, their institutional commitment, and their mentorship. Today, I would like to present them with a Lifetime Achievement Award for the considerable sum of their contributions to the School of Medicine. The first is Dr. Fritz Rottman, who could not be here today for health reasons. Dr. Rottman served as the chair of the Department of Molecular Biology and Microbiology for 18 years. He focused on molecular genetics and gene discovery. During his postdoctoral fellowship, he worked with the late Marshall Nierenberg as he deciphered the genetic code. He then went to Michigan State, where his lab continued to focus on how cells use information in DNA to build proteins, and eventually described the start signal for messenger RNA, working copy of DNA. He came to CWRU as the chairman of the Department of Molecular Biology and Microbiology, continued his work on the basic biology of transcription and translation, and here identified the bovine growth hormone polyadenylation signal, a powerful little piece of DNA that enhances the production of the protein the RNA that it follows. This sequence is widely used in the production of biological drugs today. He developed far-flung collaborations among basic scientists and clinicians, and in the course of his collaboration with the Global Health Program, he developed an interest in HIV, AIDS, and other diseases that ravage developing countries. Fritz and his wife, Carol, made multiple trips to Africa, focusing primarily on HIV/AIDS treatment. And since 2002, they've been working on food security and HIV/AIDS with a relief agency, as well as faculty from Case Western Reserve in Kenya and Uganda. They established a fund to support CWRU medical students interested in conducting their thesis work in Africa and other resource-limited countries. So Dr. Rottman's career was marked not only by outstanding discoveries, but also by engagement and compassion. Truly, he has lived a life of service. He's a remarkable individual, highly deserving of the Lifetime Achievement Award. To accept this award on behalf of Dr. Rottman is one of our own, a CWRU medical student, a second-year student, Fritz's granddaughter, Lindsay Hugenboom. Lindsay.
Hi, I just wanted to say I'm extremely honored to be here today representing my grandpa. He really wishes he could be here, but I'm grateful that I get to be representing him. So I know he looks really favorably on his time here at Case. He talks a lot about the collaborative and supportive environment that really afforded him a lot of his achievements, particularly when I was applying to medical school. So But if he were here today, I know he would be extremely humble and thankful and probably say he doesn't deserve it. But since I get to talk for him instead, I just wanted to say that my grandpa's a pretty amazing guy. You heard about a lot of his scientific achievements, many of which are still completely over my head. But I just wanted to pay tribute to my grandpa. I know him as an avid gardener, an outdoorsman, a compassionate volunteer, and just a very loving and compassionate person. So thanks a lot.
Second individual I'd like to honor today is Dr. Richard Hansen. He had intended to be here up until last evening when his own health considerations precluded his attendance. But he has assured me that he will come back to a town hall meeting or another gathering of the medical school to accept this award in person. His career includes 30 years of outstanding teaching, leadership, and research. 21 as the chair of the Department of Biochemistry. He's one of the foremost experts in metabolic regulation, and his nimble brain possesses the rare ability to make the connections between molecular biology, metabolism, and physiology. He pioneered the use of molecular biology for the study of metabolic processes, focused on his favorite protein, pepsi-K. He holds 6 patents, was a founding scientist of Copernicus Therapeutics. In 2007, created the Mighty Mouse, a genetically, where is the Mighty Mouse? There's the Mighty Mouse. A genetically engineered mouse that eats more, weighs less. How's he do that? Runs more, faster and longer, reproduces well into old age, lives twice as long as normal mice. That sounds not bad, but Richard tells me they're kind of testy. He provides insights into the impact of diet and exercise on cancer and longevity. He is a mighty educator. He not only conveys complex concepts, but excites and engages students in the subject matter. His small undergraduate course in biochemistry turned into one that had to be relocated to Strosacker Auditorium to accommodate the crowd. He's a formidable mentor, and he counts among his more than 80 graduate students, postdocs, and visiting faculty, Shirley Tilghman, who's the president of Princeton. Outside the classroom, he's an artist and a musician and a dedicated grandpa. He's been an important advisor to me, and he has made an indelible impact on this school. If we could bottle and sell whatever it is that makes Richard Hansen great, that would be the most valuable patent the university's ever had. So I'm sorry Richard can't be with us, but he promises me he will be back, and I will look forward to giving him that award in person. So we've come forward from the Richard and Fritz era, and we are now here to execute our mission. Our mission is really excellence in education, the translation of discoveries to cures, and community engagement. These giants provided us a firm base on which to build. How are we going to achieve our goals? Well, resources matter. There is no doubt about it. Money talks. Facilities matter, both research facilities and educational facilities. And that is a mannequin. But people matter the most of all. And I'm grateful to you for what you've done for the school, for everything that you do every day for our students, our patients, and our future. A year or so ago, the cover of Medicus had a baby on it. Well, the baby is motoring along and moving, and we are doing our own kind of forward thinking. And thank you very much for coming, and I appreciate your time, and I have some time for questions. Questions? Yeah, Jill.
Wonderful talk, Pam. See all the forward movement over the last year. I'm wondering about what your plans are to continue forward with the increase in communication and how that's all going to work out, because I know that some of the resources used are housed in the school and some are housed at Central. So I didn't know what the plans were there.
So,
and whether or not you have a blog.
So that's actually a great question. I was remiss by not acknowledging David Pulaski for his work on updating the website. David did yeoman service on that. First of all, I will commit to keeping the website updated. You know, some of our website had been from 2007, and that's not going to happen again. As many of you know, I've been around to all the departments individually in the last year, and I think I have a few more to go this fall, to have direct discussions with smaller groups of faculty, so I'm doing that. And I am also meeting with different groups of faculty. So I've met with some of the program directors for our clerkships. I've met with the newly promoted faculty to associate professor. I've met with people who have just gotten an R01, and I have a number of other meetings for the faculty council and the committee chairs, you know, smaller groups where we can really talk about what's going on. Of course, I have committed to go to the faculty council on a regular basis. You've mentioned the social media. We're in the process of hiring someone in communications who can actually help me, God help me, tweet. I know that seems remarkable, but it's going to be necessary. I'm not sure I'm going on Facebook, because I understand people could post other pictures of you on Facebook. But we are going to try to utilize the social media a little bit better. Certainly for our students, the communication comes through that means. And, you know, our plasma screens and our email is nice, but they communicate in a very different way. So I think we're going to try to branch out, and we're going to try to work hard to make sure that we keep people up to date about what's going on, but more important, have a bi-directional flow of information from the faculty and the students to the administration and from us to them. Yes?
Just to respond further to what Jill was saying, we're in the process of setting up a website specifically for the Office of Faculty Development and Diversity, which will be completely interactional. So we'll have webinars, we'll have postings of upcoming events, there will be a faculty exchange, for instance, where faculty can say, this is what I'm researching, is anyone interested in collaborating? There will be periodic surveys so that we won't have to wait for long periods of time to get faculty feedback on new policies and new programs. We're hoping that a pilot of that will be rolled out by the end of the year, and then it will be fully operational by the end of January. And we're in the process of looking at potential contracts, and David Pulaski has been wonderful with that.
Now, when you have 2,300 faculty, you really have to have a way of taking things in. The other thing I should have mentioned, and Sana cued me on collaboration here, the CTSC has purchased 1,000 seats and distributed them for SciVal experts, which is a program that keeps track of your research activities. It automatically updates from PubMed your publications. It automatically updates your grants from NIH Reporter, so that the faculty member who's on there doesn't have to actually do it and go in every time you do something. We're going to see how this works with the 1,000 seats. The idea is that you can go on this program and find out who's doing what in your area. So if you wanted to look at nanoparticles, you would get a list of everybody who was working on nanoparticles. You could go to their pages and see whether they really fit with what you want to do and maybe get in contact with them. Of course, they can see you too. We're hoping that this will be able to foster collaboration in the research arena at least. Other questions? Okay, well now you know why there's a reception after this. It was to celebrate Richard and Fritz. And Fritz was coming up until a few weeks ago, and Richard was coming up until last night. So I believe we will just celebrate for them at the reception. There is a reception out there, and if you see them or get a chance to email them, please do. Our school depends on them, and our school depends upon you. Thank you.